G'day folks, welcome to an EcoFarmers Discovery, the audiobook companion podcast. Join Ewan Campbell as he takes a deep dive into his book, uncovering all the secrets of soil health, biology, and true farm independence. You can listen along to his book on Spotify or download from Audible, and then catch us here as we deep dive into the events of each chapter. We're now up to chapter 10. Let's go. Simple shit, you reckon?
Simple shit. Yeah. Yeah, basically, when we look back at that chapter and the science that I got, I was just picking up school books again. You know, like these were science books from School C Science, the reactivity series, you know, and I just kept pushing and asking different questions and, you know, asked electrical engineers in marine environments, asked these people and asked that people. Oh, okay, so that's I can see what's going on. And being in New Zealand, Brookside tests what we were doing. They were testing for the aluminium right away because of our high volcanic soils and high aluminium. Then that starts to go, now I see what's going on. Ha! and each part, when you question it, as far as the basis of what we were dealing with, it's like base saturations, mineral availability, electrical corrosion. Oh, it's a no-brainer. Because when you look at it, you've only got 2% potassium in the soil, and yet it's 3% in the plant. Now look at the electrical corrosion potential. Oh, potassium's at the top. So it, even though it had the lowest amount of potassium, or one of the lowest, it is the most available to the plant because it's potential to be moved through electricity. Nature's no fool. You know, it's far too clever for scientists.
Right, so that reactivity series explains plant nutrient availability.
Yeah, well, when you add the base saturation ratios, calcium, magnesium, potassium, sodium, and then you add the reactivity series against it, and then you see the mineralogy availability, what turns up in the plant that's growing, there's only one way that the result in the plant comes about in the ratio it does, is because it's an electrically driven process. Now, what we've been taught, it just bewilders me, is that we have to put water-soluble nutrients on. I'm going, why? I mean, that just doesn't make sense. And then whatever's in this water solution, so we're farming hydroponically in soils now. Why would you want to do that? I mean, as soon as it goes dry, it's not going to work, is it? And as soon as that mineral is out of solution, then your soils are going to stall. Everything's going to die in the arse. So, you know, there's just these equations. When I started looking through them and going, okay, look, this is the way that folds with that. And to me, there's just nothing that can actually show otherwise. It's just an electrical current can pick up the minerals in this ratio and put them in the plant. So if you come along and you put a water-soluble product like muriate of potash, potassium chloride, totally soluble, and the following year you get milk fever, grass staggers, down cows, it's a direct result of putting a water-soluble or an overly available nutrient into the system, and the plant just takes it up in luxury, you know, and 50 to 70% more than it actually needs. And then it causes the problems. You know, and if you're putting on...
Hang on, so it causes the problems because it has too much of a good thing?
Yeah, there's too much potassium there.
Can you just take me through why that causes problems?
Oh, look, the mineral balance that microbes need in the gut is sort of designed by nature. You know,
it has to be at the balance level. It can't be too much.
That's right. And so if you've got potassium in luxury amounts, then you've got nitrogen put on. So you end up producing potassium nitrate in the soil. It's otherwise known as saltpeter or gunpowder. Yeah. Right. So you launch that into the animal, all hell breaks loose in the guts. And so the animal, which should not get nitrates in its feed, is all of a sudden bombarded. And now we have a cation completely out of balance to the calcium and magnesium. And all of a sudden you get milk fever, grass staggers, and whole of cows falling over.
Right.
So we've gone down a track where we've tried to replace nature's beautiful system instead of understanding what nature's beautiful system is. And it's just driven by money. That's all that drives it. That's the only thing. It's like my dad says with airplanes, it's like there's these great rules of, aerodynamics and everything, but when he's talking to people, the only thing that keeps it in the air is money.
Okay, so what parallels can farmers draw between aluminium smelting and nutrient extraction from the soil?
Well, it just tells you how electricity is used to extract minerals. Now, aluminium, bauxite's quite a high aluminium. I can't tell you exactly what the ratio is, but, it's some of the highest aluminium ores there are, and they can extract this. So if you want to extract calcium, magnesium, potassium, sodium, which are your major plant nutrients, you've got to actually utilise electricity. Or if you don't, well, you're not going to get the mineral balances right, because nature, if you haven't got the soil in the right balance with this process working, your animals are not going to get the feed that they actually are designed for. I mean, there's the whole bonkers thing about saying, I'm going to, genetically modify this gene and get an increase in production of this and this, thinking that's nothing on nature. Nature's just so brilliant at what it does. It outdoes any man's efforts. Like all our efforts is just how do we mimic nature.
So if you wouldn't mind repeating for me the example with the Bluff aluminium smelter, like the parallel there, exactly.
Well, what it is there's an ore, okay, which is an aluminium ore called bauxite. And to get pure aluminium out, they have to heat it and run an electrical current through it, in which they mean they can extract the free aluminium at that point and make it into pure aluminium.
Okay.
Now, if you look at a soil, just like an ore, and it's loaded in a percentage range of calcium, magnesium, potassium, sodium, and the trace elements, as the electrical current goes through, its natural propensity is to pick up a bit of this and a bit of that and a bit of everything else. And if you've got it right, the feed that you grow from that is in order for the livestock, because everything's built in the same pattern. And as we go further on, we'll see the relationship with this process with cyanobacteria in the soil as it is in the ocean, and their ability to create these mineral salts, which are electrically they're charged so that they actually easily picked up by the electrical current go through, because it goes another stage again. You go from looking at the minerals as the individual, then you start looking at the minerals in multiple, like calcium comes in calcium sulfate, calcium phosphate, so you've got these different minerals that are being picked up, which are part of our structure, which is part of a singular cellular structure, and everything's the same. It just keeps evolving on, and we've neglected that for this bloody money.
All right, I'm a bit of a science dummy, so this was the first time I'd heard about CECs, or cation exchange capacity. Can you unpack that a bit more?
Well, that's a really good question. Most people look at it and go, "Oh, I don't know what it is."
Yeah.
Basically,
that's what I did.
Yeah. So in Brookside, they take a pH test. And that pH then is measured against, there's an equation that they have that goes through against the amount of parts per million of calcium, magnesium, potassium, sodium. And then the calculation shows how big or how much nutrient that soil has the ability to hold. So if you've got a really low amount of cations and you've got a pH of 6.5, the reality is you've got a low capacity soil. So what it is it's just the amount of negatively charged sites all over. It's like your battery's dead. Like there's no charge in the battery. It's just sitting there limp. But as soon as you start to add humus, it adds millions of little negative charges in there that the cations, the minerals, can hold on to. So like it's just a charge. It's just one thing being attracted to another. It's like, magnets, you and the wife.
Yeah.
But, on the good days.
Yeah, the good days. Yep.
But, it's just a negative charge that the positive charge goes to. Now, the simple thing is hydrogen is the lowest of the positive charges. It's the weakest of all the positive charges. So if there's a gap and there's nothing to go on to this negative charge, it will go, the hydrogen will fill that space. Okay, so when we're measuring pH, all we're doing is measuring the amount of hydrogen that's stuck on those negatively charged sites. So a piece of calcium comes along, the first thing it does is knocks the hydrogen off.
Yeah.
pH goes up. Now, it doesn't matter whether you can actually lift the pH using aluminium. It's not a good thing. No, it's not a good thing, but it does have the same thing. Anything that is a cation positively charged can affect the pH. It's just knocking the hydrogen off, and that's all that pH is. You're just measuring the amount of hydrogen. It's just the dopey bugger that put the equation together that made it upside down when the pH went up, when the amount of hydrogen went down. It's back to front, and so the hydroxides go up, the hydroxides diminish when the pH fall. They should have flipped it up the other way. But anyway, that's the way it is.
Well, seeing as you're talking about pH, why is the pH of 6.4 ideal for soils?
Well, it just seems
6.4 to 7.
Well, it seems to get there itself. What I've seen, and the most productive. Certainly, Albrecht found that, he went and ticked out these places that were growing massive abundant crops and bits and pieces, and he admitted, the pH is 6.4, and these are the cation exchange ratios, and this is what was going on. And so his approach of actually identifying healthy, vibrant soils and then going, well, what are the factors that are causing it? And what we've tried to do, and even through Brookside, is that we've tried to mirror image, we need that amount of calcium, and we're trying to do it from a physical aspect. And what we've learned is to stand back and have a look at the total amount of nutrient in the soil, what's being used and what's not, and look at the mitigating circumstances, why it's working, why it's not. And if you can fill those gaps in, the soils will go to what Albrecht found by themselves. They'll bring the balance up, the cation exchange will get, everything changes by itself as long as you remove all the limiting factors or add the things that are not there. So, if you've got aluminium toxicity, it won't do it because aluminium is one of the greatest biocides you can ever find. Right. So as we go on through the science process, everything seems to just, that's cool, that unfolds with that removes that. And I, as I say, I'm open to challenge. Like, I'm totally open. I that was why I was pissed off with the system. I said, hold on, I'm just trying to make it better. Like, I went to the meat board to get trial money to do some work, and I was being completely open about it, but they weren't.
No, they weren't.
So, this is the part where you got really cynical again. Hold on here, I can do this, and you don't want to know. And then you start, then they start making, just some farmers ripping off other farmers or what. And I'm going, hold on here. This is what I've got here. And it's like, well, this is what I understand. And the issue is that we get so overeducated in one avenue, we don't actually open up to actually a whole lot more to see what's really impacting on this thing. And that's what was so cool about that Roots So Deep. Was all of a sudden there was 13 scientists from all different avenues all talking to each other.
Wonderful. That's what we want today. We want people talking to each other again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I'm just going to go back to the CEC one more time because you describe it as the fuel tank, right? The soil's fuel tank. How can farmers optimize that CEC in specifically heavy clays versus sandy soils?
Oh, look, the thing that I have seen in this whole process is that if you get your soils working, they actually come closer and closer together, whether it was a sand at the start or a heavy clay at the end.
Really?
Yeah, well, a heavy clay needs oxygen. Yeah. Right, and it's packed really tight, and so there's no space in it. Okay. So when the microbes start to work and everything starts to function, it starts to expand.
Is that what the good wormage does?
Oh, that's part of it. Yeah. The worms are eating the microbes that are in the soil, so they're like the whales of the soil.
But I mean, worms aerating a heavy clay.
All that helps, but they need they need the biological part of it, the fungal and the bacterial species, for them to eat.
Of course.
They don't eat dirt.
You can't just put them there and expect them to do something without the right environment for them.
That's right. They don't eat dirt. They eat microbes.
Fascinating, of course.
Okay, so they're eating cyanobacteria, they're eating fungal species, they're eating all that. They digest it and shit it out, and it's all nutrient availability. So the heavy soil tends to get a lower CEC because it's getting stretched and it gets more oxygen between it, so there's less particle size, which is brilliant.
Okay.
And then when you get the sandy and light soils, as the humus comes into it, like larger carbon flows and that.
Yeah.
Okay, that lifts the CEC. And so the carbon is a critical thing. So, I mean, quite often we'll see soils that start at CEC 6, and I like to get them over 10 in the first 12 months or 15 months, which is an increase of soil available nutrient by 40%. You know, like and that's only caused by the microbes, not by anything else. It's just because we've given the microbes what they need to flourish. You know, like, we need a bit of this and we need a bit of that and we need some trace elements here of this and that, and let's go to it and leave them to it.
Right. I got a real dummy question for you, but I admit to knowing nothing, so that's fine. When you talked about humus holding more water, right, is that a feature of the carbon content of it which holds water well?
Absolutely.
Because the C in carbon reacts well with oxygen and hydrogen and holds together as molecules?
It's an interesting thing is that the carbon has to have gone through a biological process to become humus. And even scientists today have have a huge struggle, just like I am, with actually saying what actually humus is.
Yeah, I'm sort of using the word going, I don't know really what I'm saying here, because I hear farmers talking about it and I go, what's this thing you're talking about that no one else acknowledges?
Well, when you play around it, you can actually see it, but and basically it's a protein in a way because it's got nitrogen, it's got phosphorus, it's got the minerals, it's got sulfur. It's all the compounds of a protein, and it's more or less like a living protein system in the soil. And when you drop water in, it just sucks it up and holds it. Now, the other thing that we look at the water capacity while we're at it is that the other thing that they use, like in your camera bags and all the other equipment here, you have these little silicon sachets.
Yeah.
Okay, for holding the water. Well, that's something that we've really noticed as we get the silicon right in the soil. It just sucks water up. It just anything that's about, and like it has such an effect that like if it's been really dry, and usually if it rained, you'd have a layer on the top of the surface like this where you'd actually see where the water had been. What we're seeing now, it just goes straight in. It just sucks it up.
Right. In the previous podcast episode where we were examining Chapter 9, we mentioned aluminium and silica, and then the idea of maybe a silica supplement if you were trying to get rid of aluminium, just posturing the idea, right? We're not giving medical advice, I don't imagine. But does that mean if it sucks up water, that means you could dehydrate yourself with a supplement like that?
No.
Okay.
No. This is a natural process. I mean, if anything, it's probably just a great way of holding the water in your body if it was reacting the same way.
Oh, interesting.
But, it only gets to that stage in the soil once the aluminium's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a correlation of getting enough silicon in the soil to get rid of the aluminium and then let the whole biome go to work. And this is the science is ridiculous. Like it just blatantly says it. If you expose silicon hydroxides, aluminosilicate hydroxide, which is soil particles, to sulfuric acid, it immediately strips the hydroxide from the aluminium, and you have free aluminium. And it immediately takes the silicon hydroxide and turns it into an oxide, which is useless. So we've just created a mess in our soils by using acidic fertiliser. And
that's big.
And it's bonkers. And I mean,
then people just put more on when it's bad.
Because they need those soluble nutrients to let the plant grow because their whole plant biome and everything else is shut down.
Right, so then you become dependent on it because it does work to that extent.
Very much so.
And people don't realise, and they think, okay, more of this is what I need. Because to not put it on is a devastating outcome, right?
Yes.
When you're in that bad state. So you have to keep doing it.
Absolutely.
Or have I got this mixed up?
No, you're right on target there.
Because for the farmers listening, I'm not a farmer. I just try to ask all the obvious questions.
Well, it's what it is a problem because the fert companies say you can't stop putting fert on. And I agree. Like, you can't just go cold turkey on this crap.
Yeah, right. That's like an addict going cold turkey on a drug. You're stuffed.
Right. So you need to intersect the problem.
Yeah.
And you do need to go cold turkey on the shit, but you've got to get in real fast and hard on what are the limiting factors and fix that. So the soil, just like the drug addict, can go, and have a bit of a breath and a think and a process and start to work. And then, I'll say it again and again, if we can achieve a farmer getting the same production in the very first year of changeover, I've done my job. If they've had huge benefits in animal health and everything else that goes with it, I've done my job. It's the second and third year that you really, really start noticing bigger changes in the pasture species and all that sort of thing. But what we have to do is turn our soils back on again from being a water-soluble sponge to being a biological system that's actually working for you instead of you working for it.
Do I understand you right that when we go into this whole water-soluble approach, that old way of thinking, are you implying that without the presence of so much water, a plant can still function very well and draw the nutrients up, not necessarily with the transport of water flow?
You still need some moisture, but like what we're seeing is a major amount of growth can take place in dry conditions.
Well, that's got to be mind-blowing, right?
Well,
I mean, it is for me, but maybe other people already realise that.
Well, I notice it at home at the moment. We've had a very dry spring for us.
Okay.
But the animals aren't eating a hell of a lot. That means that whatever they're eating is very nutrient-packed and dense.
True, right. That we experience that as humans, right? When you have high-quality foods, you just go, the small amount's fine.
Yes.
Yeah. It's nutrient-dense. Okay. Now, I think we've covered off how the reactivity series affects nutrient absorption by plants. But why don't plants absorb nutrients in the same ratios that they're held in the soil?
Because the electrical current is the go-between. That's the one that's the signalling. You've got wires all over your bloody over this place.
Yeah.
And what would the signal be if you couldn't hear what I'm saying?
Okay.
There'd be no reaction, would there?
True.
Okay, so the plant's going, hey, Scotty, beam me up. Give me some calcium and some magnesium and cut the potassium, will you? But like this whole process, they are talking. It is a process. There is a range that we have discovered in science that this works in this process. But, this is a fibre optic network between the plants, the soil, the microbes, the whole process. And we keep trying to get in the way. And so what happens with what we're doing on the farm is like those intricate reactions are just near on impossible to understand what's going on. So I always look at the cattle. I look at the pasture that they're grazing and going, well, that's not right, this is right, that plant's spoken, whatever, and watch the animals because that's the result. So they're the bigger expanse of what's going in the soil. So if your stock are just absolutely hammering it, doing really good, you got it right. But then if they're showing signs of chewing on a bank or they're doing something else or there's some slimmer ones in the arse or something like that, it gives there's something not quite here. What have we missed so far? We've got to keep learning because what's happening is we're developing soils that supposedly took thousands of years, which is happening within 15, 18 months. Like we're doing what supposedly couldn't be done. When you're adding 15 tonnes of carbon per hectare in a very short period of time. Oh, no, you can't do that. Well, no, I didn't do it, but those microbes did. Yeah. So all I did was sort them out or help them to do their job. But when you do something like that, you're forever getting to a stage where you haven't been to before and you've got to find some more stuff out. And you go, oh, how am I going to get that? What am I going to do here? And that's what the exciting part is. But, oh, man, it can be frustrating at times.
Yeah, of course. Now, the last chapter was all about electricity, but going back to an electrical question, do you have any comments on how understanding electrical flow can help with crop management?
Yeah, look, there is a lot of work that needs to be carried out on that part, and being that I'm away from the crops and that sort of stuff, I've got rid of it. But
you help people with that a lot, though.
Well, I'm talking about a lot, and I mean, some of the things that I've seen, just like we put a solar panel outside the greenhouse over the winter, and we put the positive and negative, and we amplified it to hell. But man alive, can you make things go?
So you were connecting that solar panel with wires to the soil of the greenhouse?
Yeah, so the positive at the east end and the negative at the west.
Wow.
And, away she goes. And, Yeah, we grew some flippin' amazing broccoli. I mean, they were like this. And, yeah, you just learn, okay, it does work. And how do we control it? How do we manipulate it? How do we make it work for everyone? Because, as I say, the more that you lift the electrical energy, the more you're going to see what you've got. And if you aren't changing your soils into a beautiful thing as you go, you're going to get yourself in a lot of trouble. And so I'm very careful, with people with budgets and that sort of stuff. I can't afford to do all that. Okay, so we'll limit the amount we put on of everything, but these are the critical things that we have to get in there that are stopping this, and then let's just edge your way through the process. And, it's phenomenally what's been missed out, where there's been fortunes spent on soil fertility process, and there's been no response or there's no better outcome for them. In fact, in a lot of cases where we see gorse growing, blackberries, and all the other bloody weeds, can be solved really easily once you actually know.
Now, this is going off topic a bit, but you've sort of reminded me of something, and maybe just if you have any comments on this. There was a Japanese shopping mall, where they took plants that didn't have access to the sun that were inside the mall. But these were plants that were growing edible things like melons and fruits and tomatoes and things, and they ran a series of, you'll see where I'm getting at in a second, a series of fibre optic cables from outside on the roof down into the plants to see if it could bring in the sun for them. And apparently the fruits on the trees grew spectacular, challenged thinking about how big they could be. They were just huge tomatoes, huge cherries.
Oh, wow.
And I wonder if there's a relationship there between piping in the sun and also what you were doing in your greenhouse and piping in the electricity.
There'd have to be a reaction. I mean, I've seen it in a lot of research where they've introduced different colours, like different in greenhouses and had different effect with plants. I mean, the list of things that go on is just mind-boggling, really, if you really want to get onto it. And again, I'll go back. Why the frickin' heck are we researching products in the system instead of outcomes? Why are we researching nitrogen effect on soils and that sort of thing instead of actually looking at the system and how it works? Because people don't understand how it works. I mean, even with all the stuff I've learnt.
Well, this is evidence too. Both my example and your example. Yeah. It's like there's missing information here.
Totally. And we know about this much of whatever we probably could know.
Yeah.
And why don't we just get over it? I mean, that seems to be the way that, I'm superior, I'm intelligent, I have all this. Okay, well, why don't you want to become more intelligent? Or why don't you become more in fun? Why don't we want to have why is it all right to say, oh, shit, I cocked up there. Let's go and have a bit of fun and find out what I did. I mean, you do shit like that, and that's, some of the questions earlier on. So, you have to bring humour to agriculture. The biggest one you have to do is you have to laugh at yourself.
Yeah. Going back to your example with the greenhouse connected to the solar panel and running the electrical stimulation into it, can you comment on the role then of magnetism in there and paramagnetism?
Yeah, well, I mean, the magnetic effect was huge. I mean, somebody asked me to measure the voltage in the greenhouse, and it was 27 volts.
Compared to what in, say, Invercargill?
0.6.
0.6? Yeah. It's wow. It must have been a real buzz going in there.
Oh, it's crazy. But anyway, I mean, you try these things out. You don't do any harm. The food that came from it was amazing, and we still play around. I actually, I really depower that over the summer now. I just cover it as much as possible. But it just gets too much. Yeah, it's just too much.
Well, can you have a negative effect by having too much of a good thing there?
Well, look, we grew the broccoli. You couldn't turn the power on until it was about to fruit. Otherwise, it just went this high, and it didn't. Didn't produce a
important. Yeah.
So, but on cabbages, they're like Fred Flintstone bowling balls. Like they're hard. You wouldn't want to get hit by one.
Can you still eat it?
Shit, yeah. It's beautiful, but man, it's just so dense.
Right.
And man, there's a lot in it. And the cauliflower are just amazing.
Can you imagine the farts off those?
No farting from our cabbages.
They're fart free.
Yeah, fart free.
That's an added value.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really cool. All right, so let's talk about redwood trees and nutrient flow as we wind this up because, how do electrical charges explain nutrient flow in the tallest of trees?
Well, it's a simple equation. In pasture, you have carbon in your soil, or you should do, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And as it oxidizes in the heat of summer, CO2 is quite a heavy gas. It stays in a level of the plant forms, right?
Yeah.
So the plant absorbs the CO2 and it creates a negative charge. Okay, so that's the first stage of photosynthesis. Now, if there's an electrical current in the soil, where does the electrical current want to go if there's a negative charge? It wants to go to it.
Mm.
It is
Attracted to it.
It is attracted to it. It has to go there. It's like watching a water pipe coming down. There's a main flow, and then there's a elbow. You drop the ball cock, and it flows. Some of it flows to that, and it's the same thing on the tree. And deciduous trees are brilliant, like especially poplar trees. And we've got a couple of different sets at home, and you can go out there, and there's no buds on the tree, nothing at all. And you can go out and measure it, and it's in the book in the previous chapter, and me measuring. And then one day, coming close to spring, all of a sudden the switch goes on. And so you go from 0 voltage, nothing, it's doing nothing, and then all of a sudden you get 0.15 or 0.2 of a volt. And about a week later, you just start to see the buds come out. You go, cool. So you can see it turned the power on before the buds burst. Get to autumn, when it decides, no, that's enough, I'm going to drop everything. The power goes off. It turns on and off. So this, what's the deciduous tree is telling you, this is when I grow. And now the trees themselves must have their own mechanism, because I've got 2 different types of poplar trees, one in the neighbours and one over here, and they're a month apart. And this one over here will be 0, and this one's going bananas. It's like, oh, we're off, And then this one will shut down first, and that one will still be going for a month later, and then it goes. And so these trees have got their own switches. They're turning on, which suits what they do. So when you look at the redwood trees, they have this, they take the carbon in, they have an electric current, and away they go. And I've been lucky enough to go to California and plug my voltmeter into some of the giant Sequoia sempervirens, and yes, there is a very strong electrical current going up them.
So when people say go hug a tree, they're not wrong. It's probably very good for you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Oh, that's fascinating. I think for me, when I hear this back as I edit these, I'm going to listen to that a couple of times, because what you've really outlaid for me is the explanation of why the seasons affect trees the way they do. And for years, I've just accepted it but not really understood it.
Well, most people don't. And I mean, they don't, it was just one day I was mucking around again. I wonder about this. And then all of a sudden, hold on, this is, oh, wow, look at this. And we started mucking around in kiwi fruit orchards and all that sort of stuff. And it was just like, oh, holy shit, there's an electrical flow here. It's telling us a lot of stuff.
Okay, so in terms of big picture applications, how can farmers use these insights in everyday farming?
Read my book.
Dummy.
Read my book. I mean, basically,
fair point.
Basically what we've been going through, we're backgrounding a lot of the science behind it so that this just didn't drop out of the last, shower.
Yeah.
And basically, it's just taking practical steps in simple ways to improve the health of their farms. At present, the challenge is on out there, the amount of weeds. It's horrendous. Like
at the time of recording. Which can state the time of the season. If you will, in case
we're just coming early summer, going into December, and
with Southern Hemisphere,
and we've got Californian thistles, weeds, like everything's gone bazonkers around us.
Technical term.
Yeah, bazonkers. Yep. Yeah. And we're clean. We haven't got any weeds.
Your farm's got nothing.
It's no. Like Dad says, I found a thistle the other day.
One,
yes. and you go, well, it's just what we've got used to. And people are talking about spraying stuff and doing this and going, when did anybody ever get any benefit by killing something?
That's deep, Ewan. I mean, that goes into a lot of things. Yeah.
Okay, so like, you just get asked, why is the thistle there?
Yeah.
It certainly didn't turn up for Monsanto.
No.
But Monsanto took advantage of a situation because it did turn up. because we didn't know how the system works.
And we're talking about Roundup.
Yeah, well, any one of
glyphosate,
but as soon
which
as
is
you
now Bayer.
you put that on the ground, then the thing that you didn't see, which is the cyanobacteria and the fungal species in the soil, which can fix this problem given the right, they're gone now too. So what are you going to have next year? You're going to have more of them. It's like, if you want thistles, spray them, because you'll have more of them next year.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's right. Actually, that leads to a pretty important reflection too, I suppose. What surprised you the most about the role of electricity in soil and plants?
I guess the thing, maybe not surprised, but what it did was actually show me how it amplified everything. It was just like you pushing the dial up on your equipment. You know, like as the electricity goes up, it showed me. And you know, as we go on in the book and we talk about the toxicity in soil and the effect, that was probably the big, holy man. You know, so the electricity, it showed me aluminium toxicity, it showed me residues of chemicals, the amplification. That's what it showed. That was the big,
Yeah, that's huge. And I think that extends on from that very important number 9 chapter to this intent, that when you're amplifying the electricity in the soils, you get more good and more bad.
Totally. Yeah. And so hence we've had to learn how to remedy those problems that have been caused by our past farming practices.
Yeah, remedy at any level.
At any level. You have to, otherwise you can't go down this track.
Wow, that's powerful. Otherwise you can't go down this track. All right, I'll see you in chapter 11.
Awesome.
Follow along with your own hard copy of the book from efa.nz or listen to the audiobook on Spotify and Audible.